It's so weird how it becomes a privilege to do something that
Even
you
When
physics
people
love.
and
ask, why
film,
did you get
just
your bachelor's?
anything
I'm educated.
art based in general
Mm.
is quite difficult.
Okay, professional.
Welcome to the Mukundi Foundation Limited podcast series. For more information on what this podcast is about, check out our introduction video on YouTube at Tanaka Mapundira. For now, let's get into this episode. Hi, Annan. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Great, great. That's good. Please go ahead and introduce yourself briefly and tell us about what you do as a creative.
So hello, my name is Annan, and I'm from China. I'm currently doing my master's degree in University of Cambridge in England, and I'm studying a degree in architecture and urban design. So basically, my current research focuses on non-anthropocentric architecture design, and I'm basically trying to figure out how to create a new definition of care in architecture in terms of caring for a more than human built environment.
Oh, wow, that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Would you mind just sharing your journey with us from high school or even before then to where you are now? I would really love for the audience to maybe relate to you or learn something from your experience.
Yeah, yes, no problem. So maybe I can start from my childhood. Like,
Okay.
I grew up in the countryside with my great grandma. So like because when I was born, my family, both my parents and my grandmother was super busy with their own work own job. So like my great grandma just took me in the countryside, and so I basically spent all my years before primary school there, and it was really like the most precious memory of my life because I was so close to nature and to the animals and everything. And but then unfortunately I had to go back to the city to start primary school, and then until high school I was basically all studying in the city, and so I did my high school in a city called Nanjing. It's very close to Shanghai, and it's like the last capital of China before the CCP, and so like it's very historical and like so many stories in the city.
Okay.
Yeah, and so in terms of my bachelor degree, I did that in a city called Suzhou, which is also quite close to Shanghai, as they're all together. And so it's a city that's famous for the Chinese gardens. So like when you picture China in terms of the natural landscape and the gardens, it would immediately come up with the city Suzhou. So like I did my like bachelor's of architecture degree there, and so I assume that I benefit a lot from the city itself because it's so rich in terms of history and architecture and all the cultural stuff. And I remember like we did so many architectural projects in terms of renovation of the city, and also in terms of preservation of historical buildings and also like natural landscaping projects. And so after my bachelor's degree, I basically took a year off. I was like I spent like half a year applying for a master's, like preparing for my portfolios and stuff, and also another half a year doing an internship in Shanghai, and it was like an architectural company called Oli, and it's led by an architect who used to be the apprentice of R.M. Pei, the architect who designed the Louvre Tower in Paris.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, but like that they are quite related, but I wasn't able wasn't lucky to enough to directly study from IMP. That would take so much luck.
Close enough,
And
close
yeah,
enough.
yeah. And so after that year, I came to the UK in 2021. And yeah, that's when I started my master's degree, and it's a 2-year master's program. And so I'm currently in my second year now, and I'm going to basically graduate in July, and I'm just currently trying to find a job in London. Somehow, I'm looking into architecture companies that focus on like biological aspects, so that there are a few practices that combine architecture with biology. That's pretty really cool, and I really would like to be part of them.
Yeah, that sounds pretty amazing. Wow, what a journey. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of picking up the influence of nature in your work, like from the time you were young. Um,
Yeah.
but there's a part that I would like for you to go back to, if you don't mind, the part when you were in high school, because you
Mhm.
kind of went from like you went back to the city to do your primary education, and then you touched a little bit on high school and then went straight to your bachelor's degree. But I
Mhm.
just want to find out what led you to making that decision of I want to study architecture. Was there, I mean, besides the nature that you've spoken about so far, was there a specific thing or like several things that inspired you or pointed you in that direction?
Yeah, well, to be honest, until like probably the last day of high school, my dream was always to study biology.
Oh,
um, yeah, um, so like, so in the beginning of the high school, like just probably similar to everyone else, I had no clear aim of what to do basically after graduation. Like also like, and for like 3 years in high school, I had no idea what to study in college, because just so too busy to think of that. And so like it was basically the last day of high school when we have done our college entrance examinations and were like applying for college and stuff. My own biology teacher told me not to do biology because she feels like unless you stay in academics, otherwise you would just like spend your time being like working, doing experiments like for nothing. And she feels like I'm too creative for this, so like she suggests me to just abandon the idea of biology. But yeah, so I guess the reason that I wanted to do biology was because in at the first year of high school, I met several teachers in science, like physics teachers and biology and chemistry. They're all super nice. And so like I feel like I was really naughty because I asked so many irrelevant questions outside of the book, and like I was just wondering like, well, basically what's biology and what's the definition of life, and I really wanted to know more about that. And
Mhm.
like, but those two teachers, they were really supportive. Like they basically inspired my journey in biology. And I was like, I read a lot of books about zoology and when during high school, and I was really like going to become a zoologist if I had a chance. But
Mhm.
then like that my own teacher told me not to, and I also and then it was my mom who suggested me to do architecture, because I think she feels like architecture is a subject that basically combines creativity and other aspects of life. And
Mhm.
also that's exactly the reason that I love architecture, and I basically stick to own architecture and didn't regret the choice. And that's because for me, architecture is a subject that basically combines everything, so that you can learn basically everything in architecture, from like philosophy to history to sustainability to techniques, mathematics and physics and everything.
Mhm.
And I guess like in high school, I was a child who was really greedy. Like I loved so many aspects. Like I remember we had like during the previous times, and you know how the education system in China is, like we had to study 11 different subjects all at once, and like we all need to take exams for all of them.
Mhm.
And so, but for me it was really interesting, because I don't think I have a patience to stick on one area for very long. But like with so many areas, I was able to become really creative. And so in architecture, I can find a similar way, because to do an entire project, you need to basically know everything about the project, like from geography to history and everything. That's what I love. And I think it was probably the reason, like the environment in the education system, that made me do this decision. Yeah, and also because my kind of my high school was really special. Like it wasn't as horrible as any like other Chinese high schools, where people just basically got up at 6 and like finish study at 10 p.m. and like the so crazy. My high school was kind of free, and so like we get to do whatever we wanted, and the schedule was not so fixed. And so yeah, I think all the teachers I met there really helped me to develop my interest in life.
Wow, that's incredible. But like, since you really wanted to do biology, and you said that your teacher was the one who discouraged you from doing it, because of the reasons that you mentioned, and she said that you are too creative for this, and then your mom suggested that you do architecture. Was there like a point where you wanted to do something else, or where you had considered anything else? Like what led to you immediately agreeing to what your mom had suggested?
So like, yeah, I suppose it's really like coincidental, because like our the uni that I went, like, so for the first year you can basically choose a subject, like whatever subject, and then in the second year you can change the subject.
Okay.
So like yeah, since like my mom paid my tuition fee, and I was like, okay, I will follow what you said for a year just to try. Yeah, so like my plan was like to try architecture for a year and then switch back to biology. But that year really changed my mind, because I met also again so many amazing professors, and they led me to know what architecture is. And I feel like this is probably even better than biology, and then I just decided to stay.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
but
makes sense.
then yeah, as I mentioned, my current research topic is really biology related, and so yeah, so I assume subconsciously I still would like to do biology, and then I'm trying to use my current research topics and my current like plans in architecture to still combine biology with architecture.
And I think that's one amazing thing about today, or like the times we're living in. It's that multidisciplinarity is so much more possible now, because people are becoming more and more open-minded to trying out different things and working in interdisciplinary teams. So yeah, I think that's really going to work out for you, and I'm so excited to see how it's going to turn out. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're getting near to the end of this episode. And before we do that, is there anything you would like to say to a young creative person? Actually, not even just young creative people, but like any creative person out there, or someone who feels they're creative, who might be listening right now and is trying to figure out how to get to where they want to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like old enough or eligible enough to make suggestions, but I feel like so from what I've learned in my life, I would say that it's really important to try everything you want. So like not because like you so that you can have a better job or like a better opportunity. It's only because it's really kind of crucial to identify who you are and what your interest really is. And the only way to do this is to try as many things as you can. And so like the world currently is quite crazy, not in terms of politics or technology. It's crazy in the sense that everything's becoming so fixed. Like even in terms of multidisciplinary, this idea is also becoming so becoming somehow like a propaganda, and people are using it to basically show off like they are new and they are somehow different. But And so like I suppose in this kind of craziness, the only thing we can do is just to figure out what we really are, and basically what basically how to stand in this kind of world, and like what our interest really is. And I suppose really in this only by doing that can we basically how define our own unique way to figuring out what we can contribute to ourselves, to our family, to the world, and basically most importantly to the development of ourselves.
Okay, great. I think you were too quick to disqualify yourself because that's some pretty good advice. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And
Thank you.
thank you guys for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.